Yo, what is up? Welcome to Ninja Geek Games and Tabletop Grudge Match, where I select two games closely related by theme, mechanics or genre and have them go head to head where only one can be the winner. In this video, we're putting up two games based on John Carpenter's classic 80s horror movie, The Thing. Here we'll look at components, gameplay mechanics, player interaction and replay value of both games, but don't worry, both will go back on my shelf. The flamethrower will stay put for now. So, they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and if that's true, then The Thing is severely misunderstood, as it only admires the human forms. But do these two games replicate each other? In the red corner, we have The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31 from The Op, facing off against the more recent The Thing from Pendragon Games. Let's get it on. For those that aren't aware, The Thing is set at a research station in the Antarctic, which I hear is lovely this time of year. However, an alien life form has been encountered that can assimilate and take on the identity of your fellow humans, hoping to escape and spread infection across the globe. As deep paranoia sets in, this creates a tense atmosphere between the team with a severe lack of trust, and once discovered, the Thing takes on hideous forms, and if destroyed, it must be burned. Sounds terrifying. During this video, to prevent any confusion, I will refer to this game as The Thing and this one as Infection at Outpost 31. Now, this version of the game was released in 2017 and initially became pretty hard to get hold of in the UK, whereas The Thing from Pendragon Games was a Kickstarter release that delivered last year. So grab your Petri dishes, heat your copper wire, and let's see which is the most infectious game. Both games boast a hidden role and traitor mechanic where each game begins with one player already infected. Infection at Outpost 31 does this with a blood sample card deck, and The Thing uses tokens drawn from a bag. Regardless, in both versions, you start the game with a high level of distrust and finger pointing. As we'll see, the aim of each game is for the team to complete a series of tasks or missions that results in the humans escaping the compound, leaving any imitations behind. But during the game, the infected players become more numerous and will secretly be hindering the progress and, if clever, possibly sowing seeds of discord amongst other players, which is so much fun to do. But first, the components. Each game has a board representing the research station from the movie that fans will find incredibly nostalgic, and the station is separated into various rooms with areas to store tokens and cards. At first glance, Infection at Outpost 31 seems to have the lower quality components, maybe reminiscent of an 80s theme. Here, the miniatures are standard plastic molds of different colours representing role specificity, like a scientist, but the player boards look like research IDs, which is pretty cool. In contrast, the Thing game has a large gaming board and is a bit of a table eater that is more detailed with upgraded art. However, the base game does come with standees, which some players may not be a fan of, but there are options for purchasing miniatures, and the fuel, food and flamethrower tokens do look pretty awesome. All characters in both games are those from the movie, where the first dispute is over who gets to play MacReady. Setup for Outpost 31 is fairly straightforward, as quick as being assimilated, so it's one of those games you can take off the shelf and start playing. But The Thing is a little more intricate, where players have various components, there are infection bags and blood tokens to sort, and decks of cards to create based on player count, not to mention placing tokens and resources on the board. Regardless, it does look pretty awesome once set up, and although busy, the colour-coded rooms do make it easier to understand location use. But having pretty boards and nice cards doesn't make a game. So then, how do they play? Although the premise of the games is similar, the way they go about this is different. With Infection at Outpost 31, players need to clear rooms in stages throughout the compound by carrying out missions selected from a deck of cards. The missions indicate what the team needs to do, where players are required to put forward cards of specific values or types and may include dice rolls. If successful, a room token is revealed that could be equipment needed to progress through the compound or an alien they need to fight. Cue head with spider legs. I feel like it's on me. In contrast, in The Thing, the whole compound is open up to all players, so you can split up or work together. Rather than having a single team mission in one room as in Outpost 31, here each room has different requirements, such as claiming food, repairing equipment, or collecting blood samples. Again, players need to secretly put forward cards from their hand, and when revealed, they could support the actions that the player wanted to carry out or delay progress. In Outpost 31, the captain gets to choose which players will participate in the mission and also choose a room. The more players involved, the more likely you are to bring in an alien, but you may have better odds if dice rolls are required, for example. Also, the captain gets to discard and draw extra cards, so you're never sure of their motives. That keeps suspicion at a high level. Some missions require a particular type of character to attend, and the captain can choose to leave players behind, but could be for the wrong reasons. If an alien is brought into the mission, they can play some deadly cards in the form of sabotage that are a real pain to deal with. But with the thing, the captain reveals one card at a time and gets to choose a single room and a player to assign it to. There are 3 types of cards that are use, sabotage and repair, and all characters are better at some tasks than others. What you have to do now is work out, did a sabotage card get put in there on purpose, or was that all someone had but they can't own up? There are a few more particulars with some of the game mechanics in the thing, where players can work together to fix or fuel items quicker or capture dogs on the loose that may spread infection. Also, the captain can stop revealing cards at any time if they become worried about the base status or player motives. The thing also has a weather mechanic that eats up fuel, meaning the compound goes dark or begins to freeze. If dark, then played cards are done so randomly, severely reducing your options. But if the compound starts to freeze, it can spell disaster because you certainly don't want to cuddle for warmth. No, this can end the game unless you can refuel or start burning rooms for heat. Similarly, in Outpost 31, rooms can also go dark, but players can spend torch cards to allow them to enter. Is that player genuinely helping or drawing you into a false sense of security? In Outpost 31, rooms can also catch fire. Clumsy, where a player will need to split from the team and use fire extinguisher cards to ensure the compound retains its structural integrity. If too many tokens are removed from the board, then it may be impossible to progress through the compound, ending the game immediately, where the alien player sits back and says, "I did that." Assimilation is a key part of the game as the alien, infecting other players to get your job done quicker, either escape with the humans or destroy the base. In Outpost 31, this is done simplistically. After completing a section of the compound, blood sample cards are dealt to all players who secretly look at them, and this may turn humans into more aliens. However, it's sometimes very difficult to ascertain who your other alien players are if you're also infected. The op also missed a trick here. At times you'll find 2 players left behind in the rec room due to mission constraints or by the captain's choice. I've always felt there should be some form of game mechanic here to spread distrust amongst the team, as this would replicate the film very well when 2 characters are left alone. But the thing from Pendragon Games does this very well. If at any time you are in a room alongside another player, you select one of their 2 infection tokens, and the token type will vary depending on that player's current status. To reflect this, there is a suspicion track that indicates how many times players have interacted this way, so you can estimate their chances of infection, even though this process is a 50-50 split. Now you get the dilemma of working together to boost actions in a room, but also increase your risk of infection or suspicion, and in this case, the latter can be worse. Both games offer combat in very different ways. I feel Outpost 31 does this well with a push your luck mechanic if an alien token is revealed during a mission. You roll dice and need to get 3 or 4 of a kind with different amounts of rolls, but you can keep dice back between rolls. Simple but effective. However, the number of dice you're allowed to roll as a team is dependent on what cards you secretly put forward. You see where I'm going here? Someone promises to put a high strength shotgun card into play, so does another player. However, once revealed, there is only 1 shotgun card and a sabotage card in the mix. Let the arguments commence. In the thing, there is no combat as such. Instead, each player can collect weapons that can be used for defensive purposes to prevent assimilation or ward off other players trying to spread the love through infection tokens, so it's more of an insurance policy. But now for the best bit, table talk and finger pointing. Both games replicate the movie's paranoia and arguments very well, with a chance to talk and discuss what the hell is going on and why is everyone pointing at me. Now with Outpost 31, you can collect rope and flamethrower tokens for missions that can be used against players. Rope can be used to tie up characters to prevent them attending a mission, but only with the captain's permission. Failing that, you can instead tie up the captain, where this role is then passed on to another player. Of course, flamethrowers can be used too. Here you can force a player to secretly show their status card. Are they infected or not? As no other players can see this, it's up to you on how you convince the group of what you saw. Failing that, you can instead opt for something a little more sinister. You can choose to torch a player. But we're not monsters. Well, not all of us, because we get to vote. Yes, there's player elimination, although it doesn't happen often. In The Thing, you instead get a game phase to discuss what cards were played that round and what interactions took place with any token swapping and increases in the suspicion track. Afterwards, all players count to 3 and may then point at each other, where the suspicion markers will move up the track if you are a target. One downside to being suspicious is the possibility of having to play your cards face up if you reach a high level on the track, and reducing your chances of being selected to get on the helicopter. So what else can happen as a result of this? Well, in The Thing, you can test the blood of another player with blood bags, only choosing the most suspicious character, or with the copper wire and flamethrower, choosing anyone. You can even select yourself, and if proven human, your suspicion level drops completely. If infected, you can, reveal yourself. Oh, it's the alien! No wonder I'm banned from that group. Here, your role changes, and if there are multiple aliens, you work as a unit, a bit like the Borg trying to sabotage rooms or assimilate players, where player elimination now comes into effect. There is no such thing as revealing mechanic in Infection Outpost 31, meaning you have to be a little bit more persuasive if you come to a solid conclusion. To win the game, humans need to escape the compound, and this is done in slightly different ways based on a voting system. With Outpost 31, players vote to select a captain as a group, so make sure you smile sweetly at this stage. Then each player makes a case of why they should be selected to board the helicopter. However, depending on previous events, the captain may have access to a small number of blood tests that they can now utilise. In The Thing, there are 3 ways to escape: fueling the snowcat, helicopter, or waiting for rescue. Now be careful here, because an alien can actually activate these themselves while pretending to be human and leave all other players aghast as they drive off into the distant horizon. If an escape by the team is agreed, the player with the lowest suspicion decides on whether the next suspicious player boards. Those that get on board make decisions as a group until all players are agreed. In both games, if just one alien makes it on board, the humans lose. In Outpost 31, you can leave some humans behind, but for The Thing, if you leave just one non-infected character, the human players will also lose, so this becomes a little bit more difficult. Both games provide a great experience for table talk, the hidden traitor mechanic, and encounters that is really true to the film. I like the voting system in Infection at Outpost 31, as well as the options for taking players on missions, and the flamethrower and rope use to tie up players or force them to show you their status. On the other hand, The Thing has fantastic player interaction, with token swapping if in close proximity, as well as the dogs moving around the compound and all aspects associated with the suspicion track. Admittedly, The Thing has great components compared to Outpost 31, and if you don't like standees, you can always get the miniatures. However, Outpost 31 does have that thematic retro feel to it. So, which game pips the post to win Tabletop Grudge Match? Both games replicate the movie implicitly and employ a wonderful hidden role and traitor mechanic, but unfortunately there can only be one winner, and that is The Thing from Pendragon Games. It's a very tough choice, but I feel it's a slightly heavier game with a little more going on with regards to weather and structural integrity of the compound, and that's it. But if you are looking for a lighter version and shorter playtime for game night, then I certainly recommend Infection at Outpost 31. Thank you for watching Tabletop Grudge Match. This is Ninja Geek Games. Cheers.